like chocolate pudding? I like chocolate pudding. Well, this is called the chocolate pudding fruit. As you can see, it's a beautiful type of fruit. In my experience, not a super great tasting fruit, but good, still okay, but not very sweet. More or less like a vegetable kind of quality to this in my opinion, but I might not have been ripening it all the way that it needed to. But anyway, today I want to talk to you about the chocolate pudding tree, and thanks for watching Eat Your Backyard, my YouTube channel, where we talk about all kinds of tropical plants and stuff. See, there's another one. Blowing in the blustery breezes. Chocolate pudding fruit is something like a bocce ball. It is incredibly hard. You can squeeze this as hard as you want and you have no effect on it. I mean, it is rock-like. So, it's also very resistant. You can see this one, we went through some days with some 30-40 mile an hour winds for a couple of days, and you know, rubs against the branches, but recovers just fine. I mean, it's really tough. However, in heavy winds, they will get bopped right off the tree because they're so heavy they swing and snap. So you can expect in heavy winds they'd come down, but they'll tolerate a lot. Like I said, this tree tolerated about 40 mile an hour winds for a day or so, and no problem. And it's had every leaf on it blown off during hurricane, close encounters, etc. So it's resilient. A couple other qualities I would mention about this tree before we get into the picking is the leaves. I love the leaves of this plant. You can see, of course, the newer growth is green and lighter green, and the older growth is darker green. Now you might ask, what's up with the edge of those leaves? Why are all the leaves like that? And you know what, I think that is partially little bugs that eat that. And here's my theory on bugs. If it's not killing your tree, don't sweat it. But you know, there are other options, of course, pesticides and etc., etc. Yeah, at some point you realize that certain plants aren't worth having in your yard because they're not well adapted, and you can find something just as wonderful without having to constantly medicate the tree or do weird stuff like that. So this one I believe is caused by some kind of bug, but it really doesn't bother me. The new leaves, you know, as we notice, come out just perfect. So the leaf though itself has this beautiful shininess to it. It's quite rigid, which I like. It takes the wind quite well, the salt spray quite well, which is a unique quality I need in my yard because that way is the Atlantic Ocean, about four blocks or so. So we get a consistent flow of salt air onto this, and it takes it quite well. Alright, so now let's talk about the fruit itself a little more. Like I said, it's more of a vegetable flavor, but I don't think I'll pick this one. It's not really the right size. It has a little size to go. This one is about right. This one here, you can see the size of that one against my hand. So I'm going to pick that. Here's how you pick it. You just turn it. And when you turn it, you get that. Look at that. Looks like a star, doesn't it? Isn't it amazing, the patterns and shapes which are produced by nature? Look at that. It's surreal. Well, it looks to me like a big green tomato almost. One thing I'll point out is that this little sheath here is a classic hiding spot for little bugs. So before I bring it into my house, I peel it back and look what we found there. A little bit of white webbing. Yes, baby spider. And under here, a little bit more webbing. Look at that. So if we just peel it back, you can see where it attaches to the fruit itself, and you can make sure that anything that's in there and under there doesn't crawl out while it's on your kitchen table, because that can happen, and I found that makes the family less receptive to having fruit laying around inside the house. Alright, so yeah, little webbing all around that, but you can get it out. And then the other thing is, of course, just rinse it off with a hose before you bring it in. But rock hard. Now I always ripen these on the counter, and that is an effective way to do it. I wouldn't put it directly in the sun, but you just kind of put them out, and you get a nice situation where it softens up over the course of weeks. Really, it can take some good amount of time. And as you look at this thing, it's a lot like this thing. Now this one I didn't do my own practice on. Look at that. Oh, not following the rules. Not following my own rules. Okay. Not a problem. Here's an idea for gardening. Don't sweat it. That's my idea. I hope that's your idea too. It seems like more fun. Alright, so after a little while, this one's been out for about 3 weeks. Amazing amount of time. But now you can see in this one, you poke it and there is nothing. I'm going really hard. If you poke this one, right, nice and soft. I don't know, even though it's been ripening for so long, I'm not completely sure that it's ripe. So I'm just gonna chop it open and take the risk. Here we go. Now, if it is ripe, on the inside it will be like chocolate pudding. Oh, bummer. It's not totally ripe. Well, no worries. I'm going to still try it. Still going to taste it. I can do it, but let's take a look. As soon as I chop this open, it starts to... Maybe that's it. Ooh. Oh, the smell is just gross. It's nasty. Okay, so you can see it gets darker color as the air oxidizes this thing. And it starts to look like, well, chocolate pudding. And another striking feature is the seeds in it, which, by the way, germinate very easily. See this seed? That's interesting. It smells like almost like it's edible. I would not eat it. I do not know if it is edible, but it's got a lot of seeds, as you might notice. These seeds grow very easily and will produce fruit. So if you want to grow another one, getting the fruit, drying the seeds out, planting them, is a good thing. All right, let's give this thing a try. I'm going to try to scoop out a thing of it and hope it tastes better than it smells. It smells kind of like, almost like a chemically smell. It's quite strange. That's probably why no bugs mess with it whatsoever in terms of getting inside and eating it. I've never seen a single bug try to eat inside this. I'm sure they get a sniff of that and are over it. All right, here we go. All right, so to me it almost looks like an avocado, but it's much more fibrous and kind of hard to cut into. I guess you could try this about any way to eat it, but isn't it interesting how it does get darker and darker? It's been a while since I've eaten one of these. They just hit the yard waste can, I'm afraid. But I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. Here we go. Wow. Yeah, that is disgusting. That is not ripe at all and should never be adapted. Quite possibly it was one of the most disgusting tastes I've ever experienced. So that was on my bucket list. That's good that I accomplished that. Yeah, it wasn't ripe. And that's user error. So the moral of this story is, don't eat unripened chocolate pudding fruit unless you're trying to achieve a more extreme, disgusting flavor than you've ever experienced before, in which case you should get right to it. I just drank a gigantic glass of soy milk, which is very sweet, and it somewhat reduced the flavor of that. But anyhow, now that I remember, it's been a few years or so since I've tried to eat one of these. It's been a few years since it's had fruit because of the hurricane damage, but when I've opened them and they've been black inside, etc., they were decent and they didn't have that nasty flavor. So like eating any unripe fruit, it's just the way it is. But the inside was very soft, pudding-like, and black, and when you squeezed it, it went in much farther than that. I should have realized that, you know, that this was not ripe enough when I couldn't like smush it. Like when it's really ripe, you could just like smush it in. You can feel like the whole inside has become pudding-ish. So that's the chocolate pudding tree. You know, it not only is a great ornamental tree, as you can see, it's right out the window there, blowing in the breeze, but it produces fruit, which is, if nothing else, novel. And certainly, if you have the patience, you get to experience something which is not that common, I suppose, in the world. Maybe common in some places of the world, not common in this spot. So, hey, thanks for watching Eat Your Backyard and walking through my chocolate pudding tree experience with me. If you like these kinds of videos, please subscribe. We are now over 20,000 subscribers and growing. So, would love to have you. And if you have experience with a chocolate pudding tree of your own, please tell us about it, because that really is where we're having the most fun. So thanks for watching Eat Your Backyard. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.